Successful coach come and student athletes will be available in the same format. Recordings of each press conference will be uploaded to the tournament Dropbox. And so the winning coach will give a brief or give your opening statement. Then we'll hand it off to student athletes. We'll have questions for the student athletes. Then back, and the coach will stay once we release them. Coach, you may have your
We
opening
can go
statement.
right to questions.
Taylor and Cody, there in the last seconds of the game, what's going through your mind as it's that close? You're up two.
I mean, honestly, just literally getting a stop without fouling. If we fouled, they were going to go to the line, and, that could have had an opportunity to tie the game. And so, honestly, like I said, just being aggressive, but not overly aggressive to where they get us a call.
Yeah, kind of going off what she said, really just focusing on getting a stop. Especially for me, I felt like after turning the ball over, we had no other choice but to get a stop. So I felt like we had to buckle down and focus on one thing, and that was getting a stop and rebounding, of course. So, yeah.
Again. You just talk about the win overall, of being able to beat Michigan, kind of the emotions of it, and now looking ahead to Indiana. What do you kind of see differently going into this game than you had the last two?
Coming in, I don't really think going into this game, anything will change. Obviously, they beat us 2 times in a row. So I feel like for us, it's kind of personal. So I feel like just coming out tomorrow, we're going to have to focus on the little things, guarding the ball way better than we did tonight. Kind of just things like that. But, yeah.
Yeah, definitely going into this next game, we're going to have a lot more energy. And, we won this game, that's great. But we're moving on to the next because the most important game is the next one.
You guys have seen Indiana twice this season. What's the most challenging part about facing the Hoosiers that you run into?
Honestly, they have great guards that can shoot, and they also have a solid post. I mean, Kenzie Holmes is really good. She's very physical and athletic, and so, we just got to play our game and just trust the process, trust each other, and get stops and make it as hard as possible for them to score.
The first 2 games against Michigan were pretty similar. Your press was very successful, forced 27 turnovers both times. What do you think was the main difference between those first 2 games and today?
I'd say the difference was their energy. No team wants to lose, 3 times in a row, let alone twice. So we knew coming into this game, they'd be a whole different team, just coming in, definitely taking it play by play for them. So I feel like their energy was completely different from the first time we played them. But yeah.
I mean, both of you seemingly could score at will at moments, especially in the first half. And then Cody, also, you had a couple huge steals and transition buckets. What was going through your mind on offense for both of you? What looks were you seeing, and how were you able to score so easily for most of the game?
Honestly, just making sure we're not forcing shots and letting the game kind of come to us, but also being aggressive, and I think that really helped me at least be more offensively aggressive.
Yeah, for me, really offense wasn't my main focus. It was defense, and I felt like, you take care of the defensive end, your offense will take care of itself, and it did, so.
What kind of a lift did it provide to have J.C. Sheldon back in the lineup and playing with you guys?
Oh my gosh, it was such a huge help. I mean, honestly, just somebody coming off the bench and giving us, other players breathers. And, she's just an amazing player. Offensively, defensively, she just adds that energy that we really need, and she really keeps us focused and connected. And, she's great on the press, too. So there's just so many areas that I can go on and on about how she helps us as a team. So we're honestly so happy that she's back.
What Titi said.
Do we have any questions from the Zoom call? Please raise your hand. Use the raise your hand function. Okay, seeing none from the Zoom call. And one more further question in the room.
On that last play, baseline out of bounds for Michigan, what did you guys have an expectation of where the ball was going, and how were you able to end up making them make a contested shot that I don't think they were looking for?
Either I thought they were going to get a 3 by Nolan, or I thought the ball was going to go in Leah Brown's hand. But at the end of the day, just trying to be aggressive, making sure that any shot they take is as hard as possible.
Yeah, I feel like we weren't focused on who was getting the ball, kind of just, taking care of our defense. It doesn't matter who gets the ball, just play defense. So I feel like we did that really well.
Any more follow-up questions from the room? Hearing none. Thank you, ladies.
Thank
you.
you.
All right, Coach, it's your turn. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right.
Fire away.
Do we have any questions in the room for Coach?
First off, Coach, I know Ricky Harris went off the court after that fall. How's she doing?
I think she's okay. I didn't really get a chance to talk to the trainer yet, but she was walking around like she was okay. So hopefully she'll be good for tomorrow.
And what do you say about that last defensive stand, and how impressed were you with that?
Well, I thought, first of all, we gave up 2 baskets by not guarding the basket in our underneath out-of-bounds defense prior in the game. So I was concerned about that. So I was screaming about that, make sure we didn't do the same thing and give them a layup. And, I thought we forced them to shoot over us, which was the goal, and everybody crashed the boards. But I don't know, felt like it took about 67 seconds. But other than that, it was fine.
And can you also talk about Cody's game? She always like one-ups herself throughout the season, and then today she has her best performance yet.
Incredible player. It's been a long time since I've seen somebody that young play so hard. I mean, she competes on every possession. She competes on every possession in practice, and really fun to see. And she's also got a real joy for the game. You can see she loves to play. She loves to play with her teammates, and just a great kid to coach, and really excited about what the future holds for her.
Taylor touched on this a little bit, but the Hoosiers haven't seen J.C. Sheldon yet this season. What does she have that provides for your team that Indiana hasn't seen?
We play a little faster with her in the game. Just the overall pace is better. When we press, we're significantly better with her in there. And just adds another scoring guard, and she can really score the ball. And I'd say lastly, she makes everybody around her better.
Obviously, this game looked pretty different from the first 2 times you faced Michigan. What do you think the ultimate difference makers were, both in terms of how this game was so much closer and then how you were ultimately able to pull out the win?
It's interesting because both teams have dealt with some injuries, and so Michigan got all their players back. Now, were they at 100%? I don't know. We've obviously dealt with serious injuries, and so we haven't had JC in either one of the games. So our teams have kind of been evolving and changing. The one thing that's been constant is both teams have played really, really hard and competed at a high level. Now, today we didn't press quite as much. It just didn't seem as effective early on. And, looking at the possibility of playing multiple games up here, we were kind of weighing that in our decision of how much energy we wanted to expend on that.
Is Sheldon on minutes restriction or?
Not sort of, like we're just kind of trying to ease her back in. We don't have a specific number, but we're trying to just limit the long stretches that she plays. But it's not really a specific number, because if it was up to her, it'd be 40. And so, tomorrow you might see us fighting over there on the sidelines. She's trying to put herself in.
Do we have any questions from the Zoom audience? Bailey Johnson.
Kevin, in your last game, you guys come up short in an end-of-game situation against Maryland. Did you take lessons from that into closing this one out?
Yeah, I think that we played confidently down the stretch, and we hit some big shots. I thought our execution was pretty good, minus the one turnover that Cody referenced earlier. So I just think overall, both ends, we executed a little bit better than last time.
Any follow-up questions from the room here? Any follow-up questions from the Zoom call? Oh, one more.
How do you feel your team controlled the pace of play today, and at what parts of the game were you in control of that?
Yeah, no, we want to play fast, and I think for the most part we did that. And I think we've got a number of easy baskets in transition, which we needed, because Michigan's really good in the half court, and if you walk it up and just play against their half court defense the whole game, it makes it really difficult to score.
And starting the second half, Michigan kind of knew that, and they slowed the game down really slow.
Yeah.
What was your message to the team when you called the early timeout to fix
Yeah,
it?
just to one, we needed to get some stops and rebounds so we could get out in transition, but just to really continue to really push the pace, because I think, like I said, that was to our advantage, and I think ultimately was the difference on offense for us is the number of easy baskets that we could get in transition.
Any further questions from the room?
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Well, same format as usual. Coach will make an opening statement. We'll go to the student athletes. They'll conclude their questions, and then we'll come back. We'll release them and come back to Coach. Coach, you ready for opening statement?
Sure.
Okay.
Great basketball game. Sorry to be on the losing end of it. I thought our team was amazing. Shout out to all of our student writers here. We didn't have 27, so I hope you're all proud of us. We really took care of the ball. We put ourselves in a position to win. We made plays down the stretch in terms of taking charges and doing what we needed to do. Just really proud of our team and just the way that we battled. I thought we probably played harder than we've played all season long, and that's a great sign moving into tournament time. Ohio State was a team that was up to number 2 in the country at one point this year when they were healthy, and we battled with them to the last possession of the game. So hopefully the NCAA committee takes that into consideration when they're choosing their home sites, because I think we got a pretty great team and we're excited to play some basketball.
Okay, do we have any questions for the student athletes in the room here?
Coach mentioned it. You did not have 27 turnovers like the first 2 games, and seemed much more successful against the press. Ohio State mentioned they noticed it wasn't as effective early. So this looked like a very different game from the last 2 times you played. From your perspective, what was really the difference?
I think just playing them from the first 2 times, we knew like their press was a big difference maker, so we tried to do that from the start. Having 2 guards at the front, I think, really helped us, and then putting Leah in the second line so she was able to either attack or make those passes that she's really good at was really beneficial for us.
In the final 30 seconds of the game, you get that big defensive stop, and then you have a couple changes to score. What is the game plan for before that defensive possession, and then what are you talking about in the huddle offensively?
I'm pretty sure we were in the bonus at that point, if I'm not wrong. So I think we were really looking to take it to the basket. I know we got that shot from Maddie right off the bat, and she knocked one down. But I think we were thinking get to the basket. I mean, they swallowed their whistle there at the end, so you got to live with that. But yeah, take it at them, I think.
Yeah, defensively, just pack the paint. 32 did a good job of attacking us, so just trying to collapse on her and not let 24 or 4 get a wide open 3. Were big defensive points at the end.
On that last baseline out of bounds play, it seemed like earlier in the game you were finding some success with cuts to the basket for layups. Was that a similar shot that you were looking for? What were you looking for on that last possession off the inbounds?
I think it was white for Leah, the shot that Leah was looking at. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't really know right now, to be honest. I think we were thinking get the ball in Leah's hands. Yeah, maybe we should have gone to more of a screening action. They were kind of getting lost on that earlier in the game. But when I saw that girl, the inbounder's head under the basket, I thought Leah had that shot right there, and, she went to the basket. They didn't call anything. But I think we were happy with the look we got.
Do we have any other questions in the room here? Do we have any questions on the Zoom call for the student athletes? One more here in the room.
Today you were able to make adjustments from teams that you had played earlier in the season, adjustments with the press from against Penn State yesterday. What does that ability to make adjustments moving forwards do for the rest of March?
Yeah, I think it's something we've been talking about all year long. It's something our team hasn't been, super great at. I think just with the lack of experience that some of our players have had. So obviously it sucks with the outcome of it, but there are a lot of, good takeaways from this game. Moving on into tournament play, you're going to have to, we're not going to know these teams like we've known, our conference opponents. So adjusting throughout the game, players might be a little different than what's on the scout. So adjusting in game is going to be huge come March. So, one positive, I guess, from today.
Yeah, I think just like we talk about just communication, continuing to repeat ourselves. Like Emily said, we do have a lot of young kids on the court, so just reminding them of what we want to do, what Coach just said in the timeout, anything like that. So it's going to be big come March
or I guess the NCAA tournament.
Cody McMahon, she had 28 points. How hard was it to guard her, and how important was her contributions for Ohio State?
Yeah, I think she's a really strong driver. We talked about pregame, trying to not let her get like that spin move that she really likes, and I don't think we did a very good job of closing that. So that was huge. She came up big, especially for them in the last couple minutes, I think, especially. So that was something we didn't really do a great job on, obviously. So, yeah.
Most points you had against Ohio State all season. What did you see offensively that made you the most successful against them so far?
I think with their press, I think in the past we've been a little more hesitant once we've broken it, where I think we put a little bit more pressure on them and really went aggressively. It was nice to have Layla back. Obviously, she can really get in there. I'm trying to think what else. Anything you got?
Yeah, I just thought we looked like more confident, more like ready to attack the basket. Everyone like seemed to be ready out there to score, whether it was Jordan starting off the game with like an and 1-3, kind of started the momentum for us. Even Elise coming in, giving us big minutes, Layla attacking. I think everyone just felt comfortable and was ready to contribute with whatever they could.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You love those oranges.
All right, do we have questions directly for Coach?
Can you just talk about your offensive game plan coming in and how you were able to find more success today than in those first two matchups?
Well, I think taking care of the ball and limiting our turnovers definitely gave us more opportunities to score, and that really was helpful. I thought, having Layla back, and that's what they talk about a lot, she just is able to get downhill. And we moved Leah to the second line against their press, and I thought that was really effective early because she's such a good passer out of that. And that allowed us to, break their press, which they had to take it off, and that's something that we hadn't been effective at early. So I think our scoring definitely helped because we took care of the basketball. I think we only had 2 turnovers in the second half, which is pretty awesome against a team that forces over 20 turnovers a game.
I'm going to ask the same thing I asked the student athletes about the final 30 seconds. You get that big stop, and then just what was the play you drew up in the huddle there, and what were you looking for? Do you think you were able to get the look you wanted?
So on the sideline, when we called timeout, we had 1 timeout left. On the sideline out of bounds, we had just run a flare on the previous possession for Maddie, and Maddie had a shot, and we ran that last week as well. So we were trying to get that look back again, but it got broken. And that's when we made the pass and Elise got it tipped. She went aggressively, and then we went underneath. We didn't have a timeout at that point. But, agreed, like they're saying, we were able to get that weak side screen. But, Leah is such a good playmaker. For her to have the ball in her hands at the end of the game, you feel like something's good is going to happen. And like Emily said, I thought she may have had that first look, and Emily read it because the defender was underneath the rim. So they made an adjustment, and they moved the defender under the rim so we wouldn't get caught on that, which allowed Leah to be open coming off of that screen. So she had the initial look. But she decided to put it on the ground. I think she thought she was going to go to the basket and probably get the foul and one. But coming off that, she was wide open coming off that screen.
Do we have any further questions? There you go.
Ohio State kept the game fast-paced in the first half. In the second half, it seemed like you came out of halftime ready to slow it down and play your speed. What made the pace of play so fast in the first half, and what pace did you want to work at?
Yeah, I think their press really tries to speed you up. And they tried to speed us up in the first half, but we couldn't really we talked about at halftime, we couldn't get stops. They were really good offensively, but we were pretty good offensively too. It was a game of runs, and, they got up, but every time they got up, we came back. We just couldn't get over the hump a little bit. I just wish there was a little bit more time because we were right there. And it came down to making one play at the end of the game, but when you have a first team all conference kid on your team that averages almost a double or a triple double, you want the ball in her hands, and we had that opportunity to either tie it or win it, and we didn't get it to go our way.
So another similar question that I asked the student athletes, but Cody McMahon had 28 points. How important was she for Ohio State? What was really your game plan against her?
Yeah, I mean, she's a kid that goes 100 miles an hour downhill, and is one of the best players in our league. And we tried to take some charges on her early. We didn't get those calls. We've been able to get her in foul trouble the last 2 times we played them, and we didn't get those fouls to go our way, which allowed her to get hot. And then I think our kids were nervous to take the charge because they weren't getting the call. And then she split us a few times. We did get some calls against her down the end, but when you have somebody that's coming that hard at you at full speed, if you don't get that foul called, you don't get that charge called, she's pretty difficult to stop. So credit to her, she had a great game.
Quick turnaround here. Excuse me. Between now and the tournament, how do you reload? What's your message and mindset going into the tournament?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think this was an unbelievable basketball game, like a really great basketball game that we were in a position to win. So I think that gives our team confidence that we can compete with anybody in the country. Our league is the best league in the country right now, with 5 teams that are, have been in the top 15 all year long. So I think our kids know, and I think we're looking forward to an opportunity to play somebody out of our league. This is a chance to really practice us, get better at the things we need to get better at, and use this week to rest, recover, and get ready for the NCAA tournament.
You mentioned things in practice that you're going to work on to get better at. What are those things that you're working on?
Well, I mean, I think defensively, we don't want to give up 81 points a game. So if we can be a little bit better on the defensive end, we're always a work in progress. We took care of the ball really well tonight, but there are games where we don't take care of it as well. So we're always trying to do that. And obviously finishing is another thing. But just trying to get better, trying to win a championship.
When you say finishing, do you mean like closing out games with wins, or do you mean finishing at the basket?
I mean finishing at the basket. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
Safe travels back. Y'all are driving? Yeah. Together? Yeah. Okay, be careful. Those